said that opened last night have now closed. The Cecil Community Center on Cecil Street, as well as the Jimmy Simpson Recreation Center on Queen Street East, are no longer available for those in need. With that said, there are still 5 warming centers that remain open across the city. This as temperatures are expected to fluctuate in the coming days. With more on that, let's check in with our weather specialist, Noor Rafat. Hey, Noor.
Okay, thanks very much, Amandalina. Yeah, that's right. Temperatures expected to fluctuate indeed. And I know that is great news for many that found it hard to roll out of the bed, go anywhere this morning in Toronto. It was feeling closer to minus 25 in the early morning hours with the wind chill. And I know it may not seem like it, but yes, we are on the mend slowly. Some milder conditions are rolling through. Struggling to catch up for areas like Eastern Ontario, where we're still seeing those minus double digits. Now, there is still a wind component from the west, at times the northwest, so we are expecting temperatures to dwindle once again heading into the overnight, but it won't be as cold as what we saw just yesterday. And despite the fact that we've seen these weather alerts and advisories clear from yesterday about the snow squalls, there was still some lake enhancement today around parts of Huron County, Georgian County, and that made way for some flurries the past hour or so in the GTHA. Expect everything to dry up as we head into the overnight, and by tomorrow morning, plenty of sunny breaks in the Toronto region. By the late afternoon, we expect things to start to cloud over, but do enjoy that dry Monday, because when Tuesday rolls around, that will be a start of a messy trend of days lasting well into the middle of the week. So we'll talk more about that in the full forecast. For now, minus 9 for that overnight low in Toronto, and once we hit tomorrow, those temperatures will be up on the climb, plus 1 your high in the late afternoon. But once again, watch out for a chilly early morning. Amandalina.
Thanks, Noor. The Toronto Maple. Joining us now is our Noor Rafat, and yesterday was the first day of meteorological spring, but not everyone was feeling it.
Yeah, that's certainly the case, Amandalina. It's a moment that many have been waiting for, and certainly parts of Western Canada saw that shift in spring-like temperatures. If you are more out to the east, you're going to have to wait your turn before you see these mild conditions. And Toronto's turn comes by tomorrow. Temperatures climbing once again above the freezing mark. It'll do well in softening the snow a little bit. Not a whole lot of melting, but certainly softening the snow. If you are heading out in the early morning hours to work, getting the kids ready for school, though, do make sure you are prepared for those cold wind chills. There's been a massive trough in the jet stream. You can also see the ridge out in Western Canada, so you can kind of guess where the cold air sits and where the mild air has been rolling in. It's been spring in Vancouver and in Calgary. Watch what happens tomorrow. 13 degrees in Calgary turns to plus 3, and that's a sharp downward trend. But you can see as that happens, the first sign of relief rolls into Toronto, and eventually over the next few days that'll make its way east into Quebec and then into Atlantic Canada. We wish we could spend mild temperatures under some better conditions, but unfortunately much of this upcoming week will be spent under some messy weather. Not tomorrow, though. Expecting a dry day pretty much for everyone, and some sunny breaks in the Toronto region. Other parts of the GTHA also pushing east towards areas like Ottawa and Kingston. By the late evening, we'll see some messy weather roll into southwestern Ontario, but it's really Tuesday where we'll start to see things ramp up in terms of precipitation, and we're looking at periods of wet snow along with mixed precipitation and periods of rain into Tuesday, Wednesday, and potentially into your Thursday as well. So, yeah, you're going to have to be patient while these systems move through, because it's going to be a number of days of wet and messy weather, and along with that, though, some milder conditions. So wherever you've put your raincoat, make sure you dust it off. It's not going to be into the double digits for tomorrow in areas like Milton or Toronto or Newmarket. Still above the freezing mark, though, and similar conditions in areas like Niagara Falls and Brantford. Plus 5 on Tuesday, 7 degrees is the warmest it's going to get this week. By Wednesday, with some rain, some flurries roll in Thursday, and as you head into the weekend, up and down temperatures once again. But the better news is the sun makes its return for several days of mix of sun and cloud.
Warming centers that opened last night have now closed. The Cecil Community Center on Cecil Street, as well as the Jimmy Simpson Recreation Center on Queen Street East, are no longer available for those in need. With that said, there are still 5 warming centers that remain open across the city. This as temperatures are expected to fluctuate in the coming days. With more on that, let's check in with our weather specialist, Noor Rafat. Hey, Noor.
Hey, thanks very much, Mandalina. Well, the good thing about those fluctuating temperatures that you mentioned is that it will bring relief to the Toronto region as early as tomorrow. And relief is much needed considering what we went through today. It was minus 16 to start off the morning in Toronto. Closer to minus 25 when you factored in the wind chill. That's the kind of cold that hurts your face when it hits you. Now it's down to minus 6, and that's actually the high in areas like Oshawa, minus 5, and Toronto, still into the negative double digits all the way out to the east. Tomorrow brings improved conditions, though, and that's thanks to some shifting winds, which, by the way, started to die down earlier today. We were also seeing the snow squalls dying down around Huron County, Bruce County as well. It did still make way for some flurries earlier in the morning and through the course of the evening in the GTHA, but tomorrow everything dries up and we're looking at mostly sunny conditions. The more you head to the east, there will be some sunny breaks around the GTHA, and in cottage country, although they will start to see periods of snow in the early evening, it's still going to be dry in the Toronto region, and you're going to want to appreciate those dry conditions, because by the time Tuesday rolls around, well, you're going to see round 1 of several messy rounds of weather in the next few days, and we'll talk more about that in the full forecast. Minus 9 degrees, a bit of a breeze from the west overnight tonight, and by tomorrow, watch those temperatures climb to a high of plus 1 by 1 p.m. with some sunny breaks, as I mentioned. Do watch out. It's still going to be quite chilly when you head out the door in the morning. Minus 16 in Toronto. I'm Mandalina.
Thanks, Noor. Prime Minister Justin.
Well, considering how cold it was this weekend, especially this morning, tomorrow will be a welcome change for many. Your high climbing to plus 1, maybe, hopefully plus 2 degrees in Toronto with some sunny breaks. I won't say it will be wall-to-wall sunshine, but certainly the sun will shine here and there. Do watch out, though, because, yes, it will be quite cold when you head out the door and get those kids ready for school. Why is there so much cold air where we are? Well, there is a huge trough in the jet stream. That's allowing the cold air to slip down south to areas where it usually isn't. And then there is this ridge forming in Western Canada. That's where we see all of the mild conditions. In fact, the spring-like conditions today, 13 degrees in Calgary, is quite incredible. But that goes down to plus 2 as early as tomorrow. And you can see there's already improvements in areas like Montreal and Ottawa as well. And eventually milder conditions in Atlantic Canada too. So the moral of the story over the next 7 days is we're going to see some up and down temperatures, getting colder and then milder and then colder and milder. So you want to adjust your wardrobe just a tiny bit. Along with that, some messy weather, and unfortunately that messy weather rolls in when we're seeing the mildest conditions. So although we would have liked to celebrate these warmer temperatures with sunnier skies, that won't be the case. We'll be seeing a lot of snow and rain over the course of the next few days. Tomorrow, though, as I mentioned, dry and sunny breaks in the GTHA, periods of snow into cottage country by the early evening, and then Tuesday rolls around and you're looking at this sky, a mix of rain, wet snow, and mixed precipitation, and it keeps on coming Wednesday with some serious heavy rain for that morning commute. And yes, it continues as the afternoon rolls around. So do be patient while we deal with some of these messy conditions. Eventually things will dry up heading closer to the weekend, but unfortunately temperatures will once again be taking a hit. Tomorrow plus 2 in Milton, 3 in Hamilton, and 1 in Wyerton, Barrie, Newmarket as well. 0 degrees in Peterborough. The warmest it'll get is 7 on Wednesday, which is quite mild during this time of year, but it will be with some rain. Windy conditions on Thursday. The sun returns on Friday, and that's probably the sweet spot. 3 degrees for your high by Saturday, minus 1, and then slowly climbing to plus 2 with a mix of sun and cloud to cap off the week.
The Toronto